Hi there everybody, my name is Kate. Welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. Just FYI, my pooch is probably going to throw himself into this in just a second. He's looking pretty nervous and wants to climb into my lap. We just started rolling again. So just your background, if you happen to see it, is the San Isabel Mountains outside of Buena Vista, Colorado. Welcome to Nature Talk, Nature Drive, Nature Talk while we drive. Okay, so I was just camping overnight and decided I wasn't ready to go home. I needed to just drive around some more and see a different part of the state than I've seen before. And I'm so glad I did, because a lot unraveled itself while I was just out here driving around and looking at the mountains from a very different perspective. And I've never been here before. So the difference between someone speaking truth and the facts, okay? Facts and truth, hello. Facts and truth are not always the same. And depending on how toxic a person is, or how ego identified they are, or narcissistic tendencies, or in denial, how codependent, how dysfunctional they are, okay, separated from their true self or their higher self, the further the further away they are from that connection, or the closer they are to their shadow side, truth and fact will often not be even remotely close. The facts of a situation are not necessarily the truth. The fact of a situation can be that I robbed a bank, okay? That is the truth. I robbed a bank. And those two things are very, very lined up if they are in fact the truth, and it is the fact that is speaking the truth. When facts do not speak truth, however, it can be presented as something different, or it can be parlayed into something that sounds very different. A whole narrative can be created, right? Say I go into the bank and I'm fussing with a piece of paper and I'm just an old person that likes to write my stuff down, which I do. I like to write it down. Technology fails me sometimes, and I fail technology, so I like to write things down. Say I go into the bank and I'm writing something down and I'm kind of mumbling to myself, and maybe I've got a hat on, and maybe I've got a mask on because I'm worried about illness, who knows. You see the scenario being set up, that I go in and maybe I reach into my purse, and it appears to be that I'm getting ready to rob this bank. Now, the truth of the situation is that I had no intention to do so. I was simply laying out all of what I just told you. That is, in fact, what happened, and those are the facts. However, if someone were to manipulate those facts, they could misinterpret that and begin covering like they were getting ready to get robbed and spin a whole entire narrative. Now, I'm not talking about what would happen in real life and, how it could be brought down and we can prove stuff. I'm talking about this is how we get myth and mystery confused and intertwined with our facts and our truth. Because sometimes when people really don't want to hear the truth, or they're in that state of denial that, sometimes it's not even a river in Egypt. Denial, what's that? I never heard of it. That people will take what are not really truth statements. They will make the facts of something, the facts as they see it. I love when people tell me the truth as they see it. No, I want to hear the truth, and then you give me the facts as you see them, because the truth is the truth. Gravity is the same. Gravity is a solid law, just like truth. Truth is a law, and all the breakdowns of the many ways that it demonstrates itself. However, facts, those are human. And so when someone is explaining something, then they want to speak in factual terms. What are the facts of this situation? We often are, many of us anyway, I used to really assume that somebody was giving me the truth and the facts. Well, somebody could be lying to me about the facts, so they aren't really truthful facts. They could be stating facts as they see them, and they're misinterpreting the scene. They could be manipulating the facts to make a particular articulated truth appear to be what it is. And so language is super important when it's important. And in the human experience, we communicate through verbal language primarily. However, it's often even more helpful and far more beneficial if we incorporate all the senses. We were given 5 of them, plus we have a whole bunch of energy centers all over our body. The 7 we recognize as the chakras, and then a whole bunch more where we can intuitively be reading what is the truth of this situation? Because the weird stuff will be the facts that make the hair on the back of my neck stand up, that somebody's telling me are the facts and they're not marrying up with the truth. How do I see this? What am I seeing at this scene? Do I smell something that gives me, reason to pause? Do I hear something? Is there something that makes my body twitch, when somebody says it? Is there something I'm sensing? Am I seeing a vision in my mind? A lot of times, if we were not raised in a culture where we were really understanding our clairsentience, or our ability to use our body as an instrument of investigation, it's already doing that. It's just most of us learn how to shut it down because that pit in the pit of our stomach getting kind of gnawed and weird, or we get a kind of a dizzy feeling, or a dizzy spell all of a sudden, or we feel nauseous, or we suddenly feel agitated, or something starts twitching, or we get a headache. Any number of things. We are often very quick to just dismiss that as nothing, and yet those are the very things, those are the very cues that we can use to differentiate truth, because truth is truth is truth, and it does not change. It is a principle, a universal law, the same as gravity or water leveling. It absolutely is that. There is no variation on it. Gravity is non-partial. It's not, worried about your race, your gender, your bank account, what you've done or haven't done. The only thing it answers to is what it is, which is if you're trying to jump out of a building and you don't know how to fly, then as a human, you're going to die depending on the height of the building, and it's not personal. There's nothing personal about it. That is what truth is. And facts, when we build them around that truth, then we have married up truth and fact alignment, and then we feel pretty good, in our body. We feel okay. We feel like, oh, okay, this really resonates with me. It's harmonically sound with me because I understand what the truth is already, and whatever this person is saying, or this scene is saying, or whatever's unraveling here is also harmonically aligned with the truth. Unfortunately, though, because we're missing a lot of cues,
keep right to US 24.
Pardon me, because we're missing a lot of cues, or we don't even know that we are getting cues of our environment, our situation, our conversation, our relationships, our job, our hobby, what kind of music we listen to, whatever. If we don't really fully understand that we're getting cues, or that left eye twitch or something could mean something, and if we are also, conversely, if we're paying attention to those, yet someone else has already articulated what all of those mean, we might be scratching our palm and all investigating the idea that we're about to get money. And that could in fact be true. However, it could also be true that that's something else that's very specific to you, your situation, your body, and it's your cue to use in a very different way than to take the off-the-shelf version of it always means this. I have not in my journey found that discerning fact from fiction and truth and fact, making sure that they are in fact aligned. I haven't found that locking down into believing that there's preset cues from other people that they've determined that this always means this always means that. I haven't found that to be terribly helpful always, because I found that with angel numbers and animal symbolism, all kinds of things, that there are a huge variety of different interpretations that people take with that, depending sometimes on which culture, which spiritual practice, which religion, whether you're using the Bible or not, And so what I found is that when I have something that comes across, this is how I'm going to wonder, is this truth for me? How can I feel that in my body? Is I'll look at something and say, I saw a red-winged blackbird the other day and I knew it was significant. However, I had no reason to know why. I'd never seen one before. And so very beautifully, when I went to go look it up, that's when I begin my, here's where I go into my body and feel that. Where on the search, where in the search am I going? And sometimes I go down 4 and click that, or sometimes I just run my finger along until okay, there's that. And I usually only read one thing, and I don't even read the whole thing necessarily, or I could read 12 things and be reading for 2 hours. It really depends on what is it doing in my body. Is this the truth for me? And sometimes I find that I've missed the cue, that I did something, maybe it was just for me to learn the difference of, yeah, you got comfortable with, this way of doing it, Kate, so we're shaking it up a bit to say, don't wait, get on board over here instead. And so, excuse me, maybe I feel a little something in my body. It's very much getting involved with the somatic integration of how do we learn what truth is if we don't know what truth feels like, because what people are telling us depending on how far away they are from it, and how willing they are to be deceitful and sell their soul on any level. They're not going to tell us, in fact, because something's a fact doesn't mean it's a truth. It can be that, something happened, that it was misinterpreted. It's a fact of the situation, however, it's not the actual truth of the situation. And that happens a whole lot right now, especially when you have people being called to justice. They're experiencing their karmic return and really not digging it. So we're spinning stories everywhere, and we're creating new narratives to explain the old narratives, and it turns into a whole gaslighting thing. Gaslighting is some of the greatest training ground, some of the most horrific training ground, and some of the most painful training ground. However, if we learn how to navigate through gaslighting experiences and gaslighters, people who are really proficient in that shit, if we learn how we feel when we're hearing stuff and we really get in touch with that and start going, yeah, 3 down, 4 down, what am I doing here? Or I'm listening to someone, and there's just something in the scene that's weirding me out. I hear something that just seems like it's not right, or I literally see something. You might be willing to no longer just allow yourself to say, oh, that's just so-and-so, that's just what they do. Yeah, that's just what they do is really not serving anybody anymore, to allow someone a whole lot of room in their codependency, their toxicity, their narcissism, their whatever they're exemplifying, their gaslighting and their bullshit. It's really not helpful, and we will actually pay the karmic price for having allowed that to continue. Now, we are not, in my opinion, I do not take on the role of cosmic justice in the Justice League, that I, go and tell someone all about themselves and what they should or shouldn't be doing. I only operate with people if they're in conversation directly with me, or if I see someone harming another person, absolutely physically harming them. Otherwise, you're on your own, unless I know internally from my guidance system and from my spirit team that that's something that I need to act upon, and that happens very rarely, like almost never. But if it's a conversation with me, then that is where I will pay the karmic price if I let some bullshit fly that is going to cause me harm or is in my face. If it's just somebody who's flexing a bit, flex and move on. I just keep on trucking and don't stop dancing to school somebody up on, yeah, whatever, because it's a waste of time. However, if I was going to be in that same conversation with someone, that very same person again and again, then I would be called to say, look, friend, this is not working, and we need to move this into conversation where you no longer speak to me like this. And if that person isn't reachable, they're not teachable. If they're not teachable, they're not reachable. And so for me, that's that's a short conversation, because I don't do bullshit for very long anymore. Why would I? Once we make it out of that stuff, then we become teachers and examples for other people, and we can then be very much resounding truth. Even if we're working through our stuff, we're not always speaking the truth ourselves. Even when we know it, we're not always speaking the truth ourselves. However, we can be a whole lot closer, and we can be really principled to be living in it, pretty much all of the time, which helps us be able, as educators of the planet, light beings and light workers, we're helping to educate others that are living in the dark about, that's not how you do that. Whether they like it or not, whether they're willing students or not, matters not to me. If you're in my face doing something that is really, that's some then it's my job, as I said, depending on how long we're going to be interacting and the level of that interaction and how toxic and unhealthy it is, it's on a continuum. And so that engagement becomes my responsibility as an educator, not to educate or save the whole world from themselves. Nope, just one at a time right there. Otherwise, be the light, see the light, be the light. And anywhere that I don't see the light, I still need to be the light. Even when I'm tempted with, ridiculous conversations where someone's going to want to, flip me to my dark side, flip me to my dark side, then it becomes even more important and more valuable, because those points right there where I knowingly choose to go into some kind of ratchet behavior, I will pay the karma on that, and I don't want to have to pay back anything that I've already cleared that debt. Then I don't want to take on any more, because I'm helping that person stay in the dark. That's why I will pay more, especially when I'm choosing consciously to get into it with another person, when I know, yeah, I really need to take the high road on this. And high road, I want to be clear, high road is not necessarily that I don't tell somebody to shove it right where it don't shine, you know what I'm saying? Like, knock it off, move on. It doesn't mean that. It's a matter of saying how I'm going to put my foot up in it. I'm not disrespectful or mean as a general rule. That's not how I ride. However, I don't mind getting real real curt and short with people of, no fucking way is that happening. Nope, that's not happening. To not put it on them as in shame on you, you dirty bag of blah. Not that, just be very clear that if I'm working with someone that is incredibly resistant and they're coming at me, that's a one-off maybe, but still, if it's coming at me very aggressively, or it's someone that I know peripherally is going to be bouncing around me, for instance, in my environment because of where they actually live, or a job or something like that, then I'm going to absolutely put my foot down and say no in whatever language it takes for that person to get the message of, I don't play with this and I'm not playing with you, I mean this. I am a beautiful, nice person, and you want to get there with it, then you'll see that side. Otherwise, you want to keep it in the ratchet, dark department, then we're going to have to work in where you live and where you are to bring some light in on this. But it doesn't mean that I turn my light off to go visit that and get there and engage at that level. So I don't know. I hope that's made sense to you. It's kind of a complicated area with how we deal with, people that are in their darkness. It's not to, cause more darkness by allowing it to perpetuate. And it's not about perpetuating or building up our darkness at all. It's a matter of managing it, because we all have dark and light. I love people that tell me I'm healed. They're usually the ones that follow on very quickly in the conversation with their label of whatever level of importance they've deemed themselves, and that they don't have problems anymore, and they're usually quite judgy about those that do. So I shy away from ever using the words that I'm totally healed. I am healed of much of what used to very much plague me, and I still have plenty of opportunity. Hello, cows. Longhorn steer. There are plenty of opportunities that come up, cyclically for me, that will give me a chance to say, do you want to operate as an educator and as a light, or do you want to, get involved in this and have a fight? And the answer really needs to be, every single time, I want to be standing here in the light. And sometimes I fall down and get frosty with people, right quick, and it gets unpleasant. However, we're all working on something at some level all the time, and I don't ever want to stop to believe that I don't have dark, or that I'm only the light. When we say we're only something, that means that we're willing to put it out there for somebody else too, that if I'm only, the light, then I might be willing to believe that the other people on the other side are only dark. And that's some bullshit right there. Division is not where it's at. Divisiveness is not where it's at. Divide and conquer is over. However, we're picking up the pieces from many years, thousands of years of divide and conquer mentality. So Age of Aquarius asks us to, stretch further in what we're willing to believe. And as my spirit team moves me through, and helps me navigate these greasy situations sometimes, it's really met with excuse me, far more lightness, and light beingness. The more that I remember in those moments whenever I'm feeling that sense of, I could jump weird, to say, what are you here for? What is more important, to win some tiny little ego battle? Or can you remember that down the road, down the road, the legacies are being built today for what will stand tomorrow, the same as what is standing today is the legacy of what was built yesterday. And some of that's just some busted shit. So let's, it's being torn down, then let's rebuild that, and have a far better ethic and a far better principle, and stand in truth, so that truth and facts are actually the same. Makes everybody happy, it really does. Even those people who like to while around in the dark, we prefer to, be honest. And when we live in that dark space, we're investigating it, and we might think we're having fun. However, if we ever get out of that, when we get out of it and we find out what that other side's about, and living in the balance of that, it's a lot more fun and a lot more freedom and sovereignty. There is a lot more freedom and sovereignty in knowing that, oh yeah, I am dark and I am light, and I can live with both of those in me, and I don't have to manipulate in order to be free, nor do I have to steal anything, or tell stories, or change the facts, or question universal laws or principles, truth. I don't have to do battle anymore. So a lot packed into that. I hope that you're well. I hope you enjoy your day, no matter what part of the day you're in, and I hope that you get within your skin. Sorry, I was looking at the mountains, getting so distracted. They're gorgeous. Get within your skin, because you're divine. Your divine is absolutely fine, and it's so truthful. There's nothing about it that does not know the truth every single time. So take care of yourselves, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye, beautiful friends.